So today I'm joined by one of Switzerland's top 100 women in data and AI, Nina Habicht, founder and CEO of Dreamleap, startup advisor and investor, former AI product director at UBS. Nina's shipped AI into production at scale and now works with teams in turning AI capability into real business outcomes. Welcome back to A Class Act Season 2, Gating the AI Landscape. Today, we're getting practical. Nina has built AI products from zero to scale, shipped generative and conversational AI into production for millions of users, and advised startups and enterprise on how to turn AI capability into real business value. By the end of this episode, you'll understand what differentiates valuable AI business from disposable ones, and where the founders and operators should focus their time and energy right now. And a quick one, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, and whether you're listening, tap follow so you never miss future episodes. Nina, really good to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, yeah.
No, thanks very much. So yeah, let's go. So you've built AI startups, advised founders, invested in early stage companies, and led AI products inside a global bank. For listeners who may not know your background, could you give us a quick snapshot of your journey and how it shaped how you think about AI entrepreneurship today?
Yeah, so it started 2011 with my professor asking me if I want to build a prototype of an avatar in social web. And by then, nobody actually knew what is a chatbot and what is an avatar. And I thought, yeah, I will deep dive into that. So I did one of the first studies on how to use this kind of AI in social web and in e-commerce. And then I jumped into more computer system engineering. I have a computer system engineering background. I jumped into a chatbot startup, grew that from 0 to 10 people. Yeah. It was actually sold this last year, yeah. And after I left the startup, I was asked by UBS to build the product vision and all the teams to bring the systems into production, right? And so the background is really started with this prototyping, product development of a specific kind of AI, avatars in that space, but then shifted into years of building products in the space of AI automation, different industries, yeah.
No, excellent. A really good background there. And you've seen multiple waves of excitement around AI. From where you sit now, what feels genuinely different about this moment and what feels familiar?
That's a very good question. There were always winter and summers in AI. I remember when building a voice assistant, I was building one of the first voice assistants for the federal train system in Switzerland, and also for SCOM and end-to-end booking via voice. And at the time back then, these were these old NLP systems that didn't really work, right? You had to train a lot the machine to understand all phrases and intents. And it was a little bit, not satisfying job back then, of course, because of the technology. And now with the large language models, this has completely changed in terms of large language models and tech products. And that also the cost have increased. You can now build something with higher quality in less than 1 day, which took you like 3 months before.
Yeah. Definitely. Even people like myself who are non-technical can go in and do amazing things with AI at the moment, which is fascinating. I'm seeing some people I know as well just building stuff in their houses and just kind of bringing things to light and agents and stuff, and they've never worked in technology in their life. So it's fascinating. But there is a growing conversation about AI slop. There's tools that are easy to build, easy to copy, and hard to defend. Why do you think so much AI being built right now feels disposable?
Yeah, so there are several aspects. One is you use these tools and you yourself feel that it's not satisfying, because it's in the beginning, it's satisfying, right? You think, wow, I can create this amazing image, but it's becoming like a commodity, and you always think about, let's do one more image, let's do this, one more text or whatever. And this becomes almost an addiction and not really satisfying, because your brain is not really, if you give it completely to the machine, your brain is not doing work and does not really feel satisfied with the result, right? So I think that is one aspect that makes users feel fast that they have to switch to something else because they now know how it works, and it's getting boring or it's getting a commodity. So that is a huge risk in those typical AI tools, that you always want to explore something more because it's getting, in a way known for you and not exciting anymore. So I see there a huge problem with the brain of people, and
just chasing the next thing and not really
not really digging deep into processes and trying to solve end-to-end processes with a new technology. It's more that many companies, also people, are excited about this value, but are not really enough persevere to be there and try to solve one process in a very new way.
Definitely.
And good to
No, I can totally identify with that, especially the way my mind does work like that. I jump from one thing to the other, so I can imagine what it's like for others as well. It's not good. But from your perspective, what are the biggest traps founders fall into when building AI products in a high velocity environment?
Yeah, the biggest trap is that you chase every hype and you try to satisfy every user request or every client request. So what is super important is that you have, at least when you build software, have a focus on a deep process and on a maybe even industry-specific process. Because when building successful AI products, I've seen the most successful ones were the ones that had domain knowledge, so knowledge from the people that actually do the process combined with the technology. And that is what I would recommend every founder, is to look at a domain and think about how can you really this domain or make a process in this domain extremely faster. Let's say a typical example is the whole distribution of content. You might want to, it's a classical use case, you might want to distribute automatically on all channels and in a faster way. So not only creating content, but also distributing it faster end to end.
And you're seeing some exciting kind of businesses in and around, even like in legal tech at the moment. There's a lot happening and a lot of money being raised there. A lot of big evaluations. You've seen a few even this week coming out. So it's like Legora and businesses like that. So they've obviously doubled down on what they know and built a global business. They're fascinating. Excellent. And how do you personally distinguish between a fast experiment worth pursuing and a shiny distraction that will never create durable value?
Yeah, so that is something we do, of course, every day in our company, DreamLeap. So we have an agentic platform that goes deep into processes, more in the custom interaction space and more in the industrial space. And we do this by really taking the use cases and then think about, do they actually relieve the user? Are there actually users using this? And what is basically the business value behind? So do we really reduce costs with this automation, or is it just something funny that somebody told us? So it's the classical way how to do a product. Don't just follow your clients, but talk to them and take it seriously what they tell you, but always think about, is this now something that many clients need, or is this something that was just a fancy idea?
Yeah. And if you were starting from scratch today, what type of AI businesses or products would you not build, even if they look popular or fundable?
Yeah. So I would definitely look at the defensibility. I would do more something that maybe doesn't sound that fancy, but solves a specific use case and is not maybe complete software based.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the Claude or when you look at the big large language models, they more and more go into the enterprise sector. So even startups like others are also still at risk being somehow competed. But I would definitely look that there is a combination of maybe physical goods and AI.
Yep.
And that you solve a real use case, a real specific use case, and not trying to rebuild, let's say, a wrapper or large language model that's something similar than all other tools now do at the moment. Yeah.
I know. Indeed. I know. I was just kind of thinking out loud there around about like a lot of businesses are bringing, or maybe starting to try and bring some of this in-house anyway and build their own capability as well. Could be a risk to some certain businesses. I was just thinking about that when you were speaking there. But on the flip side, where do you see real underappreciated opportunity for AI-first businesses right now?
Yeah, I see a lot of opportunity in sectors that are not yet that digitized.
Yep.
So sectors in the industrial space, sectors that seem to be maybe not the obvious one, like marketing or financial services. They're quite advanced in the maturity scale. But when you look at industrial spaces, machines, construction, housing, there is still a lot of work to do. Yeah. And that's also what is our approach. We don't chase the fancy stuff. We try to solve the user's problems. And we do this every day.
Yeah, just consistently every day. And that's how you build a good business as well. I work with some businesses well, you don't hear about them, you don't see them all over the place, but they're in doing some really good work in some of the less kind of fancy and popular industries, but no, a lot of good stuff being built there. But you often talk about business value over novelty. What signals tell you early on that an AI product is solving a real problem, not just demonstrating technical capability?
Yeah, the most signal, of course, is to see analytics and to see the metrics. For example, we did one use case with our platform where we basically automated 11,000 requests that come in every month and saved 260 hours for this team every month by just automizing this entire request flow, client requests in the packaging field. So it was more, I get my package, I get my e-commerce packages, and I am not happy with them. I call back to the distributor and I start to write mails back and forth. And this company can fully automate now the answers back to the clients in a personalized way, and also by connecting to third-party systems, packaging distribution systems, and so on. And this is maybe not a fancy, visually visible case in the front end, but it's hidden in the systems behind it, which value. Yeah,
that's where the real value is in AI, really. When you get in and solving a problem like that. Is that something you go in and build for clients you work with then?
Yeah. Yes, we do this every day, that we build this kind of optimization in the back end. And we do this, of course, with our platform that already has all components available to do that.
Yeah, no, good.
Yeah.
Ideal. And many AI startups struggle to move from impressive demos to paying customers. Where does that transition most often break down?
Yeah, that is a very good point you make. The demos are like an entry point to have an idea for the company. So I wouldn't say that you don't need those demos. You need something visual to also elaborate on the idea that you want to build in the end of the product. Since you want to talk maybe to legal, you want to talk to compliance, or you need to talk to compliance, to the data protection and other teams. And without an idea or visualization, it's very hard to get any buy-in or get any feedback from these departments or clients. And So it's really this process. You start with the demo idea. You elaborate exactly with AI Canva, or you elaborate what features you need, what is also the KPI, what are the KPIs you measure.
Yep.
And then you have a good preparation to go into the government and data protection and architecture teams to discuss it. And then you go further with getting it into production and doing the adoption part. And where it often breaks is really if you don't set the expectation right in the beginning. So you say, we measure this. I make an example, we did a very good translation agent for a financial institution, a global one, to do all reportings of asset management automatically. And we didn't go to the users and said, look, here is the AI doing it, and here is the human doing it. We just went there and said, look, here is the work done. Yeah. Please rate it. So there was no bias that test groups would say, oh, no, this is AI made. Oh, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you really need to have a plan how to bring it to the users and then how to measure it. And then, show to the clients that there is value. You save time or you bring revenues.
Brilliant. I like that. Really like that approach. Really good. But you've also shipped AI systems into production under strict regulatory, security and operational constraints. What lessons from enterprise AI do you think startups ignore, but they really shouldn't?
Yeah, that is a good question. So often startups come in with a fancy technical demo, right? That's super good to impress. However, they should, before doing the demo, already have somebody from the fields of regulated industries to know, if I show this example, let's say I take the CID data and I put it in the assistant interface, and then I talk about this client, they should already in the beginning be aware where there are red flags in this industry, and especially banking or regulatory industry. If you then come up with a demo showing exactly how critical data is just put into fields, you will probably already have make a bad impression. Yeah. And so you have to properly prepare before going to this demo and think what data use, what use cases, maybe not a high-risk use case concerning EU AI Act. Really prepare before going there.
Yeah. It must be comforting for some of the companies you work for, that's seen your background, seen you've worked for some of these kind of companies with a lot of regulations as well, and you know how to bring that into their organisations. In the last podcast, just my last guest there it was a full hour on AI ethics and guardrails and principles and stuff, but it was fascinating. I've heard a lot of people speaking about the kind of ethics and safety and guardrails, but I don't know if many people have been really taking it as important as they should have been.
It's coming
I
remember, so I was responsible also for the entire model governance in the end, for the whole platform. And that means in the end, you also need to approve in such companies lists of 40 to 100 questions that you are aware not to destroy humanity. You are aware that you can roll back the model to an old model, and you need to cater for all those features before bringing it into a next release or go live.
No. I think if you can prove to companies you've got this under control and you take this serious, it's a real winner for companies. But how important is domain depth right now compared to pure AI capability? Can a generalist AI startup still win? Or is specialization becoming essential?
Yeah. What I mentioned also before, so the generalist AI startups, I'm not really secure, or I don't believe that they will have an easy time right now. Let's say maybe 1-2 years before, when we had, of course, this horizontal agent companies bringing a lot of features out, right? I don't remember now the name by heart. but there are GenSpot and companies doing really big horizontal agents.
Yep.
And this is, you can be defensible when you get into the data. So the data is the moat in the end with these companies. So if they can get into the contextual data of the company and get into the processes and help in the enterprise field, then I think there is a existence for them because they are fast. They already got into those processes and data. But when you look at specialized startups, it's maybe easier to realize such a startup because you don't need so much enormous funding compared to a horizontal solution that needs even more funding than a specialized solution. I made the example with the Gamma app from generating PowerPoints. This is still much better than any ChatGPT generating PowerPoint.
Yeah.
But of course, they're now already struggling with the new releases of Claude and the releases that are Microsoft to do PowerPoints and so on.
Yeah. I was just, when you mentioned Gamma there, I was talking to one of my colleagues yesterday, and he specialises in, he's been working in AI talent market. That's all he does. He loves it. But they sent me over a pitch deck that he'd actually built for himself yesterday, and it was through Gamma, but it was like unbelievable. It was like, so it looked so good, just all his experience and everything, just when you mentioned that there. And he just pulled that together just by probably putting in some data and a little bit about them and some testimonials, but it was really good. That was great.
So they are very interesting startups because they make PowerPoint make PowerPoint not important anymore.
Yep.
They try to generate new data formats to disrupt old ways of PowerPoint creation. And I think there is a huge potential doing that exactly, finding out a new format, meta format of data to make these old tedious processes not relevant anymore.
100%. Who wants to sit and go through those slides for a week when you can just do it? That's not fascinating. And with tighter funding and longer sales cycles, how should founders think differently about pricing, unit economics and growth expectations in AI?
Yeah, so that is a good question again on the funding side.
Yep.
So we see in our ecosystem that many founders, they try to get even a more bigger round right now because the market seems to be in a good moment now to have a bigger round, because everybody expects maybe next year or 2 years, I think probably already earlier, that this will stop and there will be I don't believe on the technology side a bubble, but on the funding side there will be a bubble, explode or stopping this enthusiasm. And what you also see is that you need to expect clients to then react as well, so that they stop investing so much money into trying out tools, because there's the fear in the market. And on the unit economics as well, there is a shape or a direction going towards having less costs. Everything is also more expensive at the moment.
Yeah.
So going actually a step back and thinking, where do I really put in AI and how much does this cost? Do I take hardware-based solutions for certain things that have cloud costs, and where do we take cloud costs? So there will be a hybrid approach, probably on the deployment side.
No, perfect. And what does a sustainable AI business actually look like in 2026? Not just a venture-backed one.
Yeah, I'm on the sustainable side.
Yeah.
Yes, we are revenue generating. We are growing fast. We have safe bets in terms of what we do is safe, can be done in a scalable way. So I would definitely, as I said before, focus on the fact that you need to enable now a lot of companies to be faster, to be more efficient.
Yep.
So they want to do it also by themselves. Often they want to enable for example, we train a lot of IT and tech companies to become faster, right?
Yeah.
And tech companies, they need to do now something. They need to change because they program with AI, but you need to do it in a sustainable and secure way, and also that you are allowed to use the code, and everything, like every aspect needs to be considered. And this needs somebody who guides you through this process and can say, hey, if you program this solution in that way, you need to take care about that. If you want to shape into a new business model, you want to sell with a product that is AI data driven, then we can help you to get there. So thinking more about a startup that is providing how to use the tools and how to realize new business models, rather than trying to build another cool tool that in that moment not really solving what the client needs. Get to a new business model or get to a new revenue stream.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I think I noticed on LinkedIn, are you looking to hire an AI trainer for your business at the moment as well?
Yes. Yes. So we have around 12 employees, mainly ETH, deep tech AI engineers, but also people with long experience in digitalization and transformation, because it takes all these aspects.
Oh, brilliant. Well, if there's anybody listening, they can check out your business anyway. So that's good. So you've built and scaled teams yourself. What skills or traits matter most in early AI startup teams beyond technical excellence?
Yes. So I scaled one on of course, with an AI director job that were 70 people. That is something different, of course, in the big ship from 0 to 1 versus in smaller teams. So in smaller teams, I would recommend to have generalists in the beginning. So don't hire any specialized SEO expert. You won't be happy. You need people that really relieve everybody else in the team, that can take over whole projects and whole goals. So what we do, we basically try to replicate ourselves. So we hire founders and we hire people that know how to build from scratch. At some stage, you need the people that have this process experience and know how it works in a scale-up phase.
No, definitely. And we do a lot of work with large-scale enterprise businesses and startups, scale-up, so it's different kind of, they all need different types of people will fit in, go on well. But how should founders balance building quickly with building responsibly, especially when there's a lot of their clients asking for speed?
Yeah, that is a tricky question.
I know. There's no right answer.
You have to be fast.
There's no right answer.
You have to run. Yes, that's definitely. You have to explain how these systems work and explain that it's not the magic wizard that solves everything for your thinking, and you don't have to think about your business anymore. So you have to set this pretty early, otherwise you will get a huge requirement that has to be solved within 1 week, and you stress. That happens a lot. And then, stress is not good in a startup that is already stressful. So I would definitely go back then and say, hey, look, this is the plan. We can do that by then and then. Which requirements or which aspects are most relevant for you, and we will prioritize those before others. And if I also already had clients where I said I won't do that project because it will fail and you are unhappy, we are unhappy, and it's not good for our brand and for everybody.
It's such a balancing act at the moment. I'm pretty similar with a recruitment business. You have
to really guide the clients, because otherwise they are also unhappy. They believe that they can do in the end a super cool product that automizes maybe several data sources and process, but that's also your job, or it's also our job to say where are the limitations and which steps to take to get to the result.
And I suppose a lot of it's like having the right clients and customers as well. It's like long-term requirements and building, rather than just we need this now. And
exactly.
Definitely. Okay, so coming on to the last kind of few questions here, we'll close it off with looking at advice for builders, people who are building right now. For a founder listening right now who feels overwhelmed by the pace of AI change, what would you tell them to stop doing immediately?
Stop looking at LinkedIn and all the models that come out and all the tools that come out. Take a step back and think more about where can you contribute value? Where is your main core knowledge and where are your skills? And what would you do even if everything around you breaks apart? Where would you still continue? Because it takes much more than just the product. It takes your silence and it takes knowledge in other spaces. Focus on something where you already maybe have a client base or you have personal contact to start small. So I started that's the third business I started. I started it with people asking me, can you support me with this AI topic? You seem to know a lot. Can you maybe make a training for me personally? And then I started doing this training business, which is now training around 4 to 5 companies a week. And I started out of that, the technology business. And now it's basically almost the whole thing with different businesses. But I started with everything I did, I started small. And I started with the consciousness that it could stop just next day.
No, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. I keep just thinking about my own journey when I'm talking to you as well. I started in data recruitment in 2005, and I was always in data. Then I've jumped to blockchain, I've jumped to this, I've jumped to that, and now I'm just focus data and AI back to this. I've tried to build consultancies, I've tried to do this and event companies, and it's I've always just come back to what I know and what I enjoy and what I can build.
Exactly. You need this detail. You need to do that to figure out where you are. But when you at some stage you see it yourself that that's where I'm passionate about, but I really can stick to it even if it's annoying me or it's boring, and I bring some value to somebody.
Definitely.
And that is what is the thing you have to do.
No, I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. And if you could only focus on one thing over the next 90 days, so this is to a founder, if they could only focus on one thing over the next 90 days to increase their chances of building something valuable, what should it be?
Focus on one, that is a tricky question.
No.
Okay. Yeah. You think one thing in terms of market field, or you think one thing in terms of...
Yeah, just maybe something that they could double down on if somebody was building an AI startup. It's one of those, again, there's no real kind of answer to this one. It's probably more just about focus and maybe a little bit what we spoke about in that last question.
Yes. I would definitely look into all these aspects. What are you doing right now? Does it work or doesn't it work? If it doesn't work, then don't continue doing it, as you said. Double down on ideas, projects to have buyers.
Yeah.
So if you just chase the next fancy technology, in my experience, it's not the way how you find this good business. It's more the way by talking to people and maybe even doing businesses that are boring. I always like this recommendation. Do something super boring that nobody wants to do, because then you will have also space in some field because nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
I have an example with the trainings. It's something, building the academy trainings is of course something that is annoying. You need to have assets, you need to gain knowledge every day, you need to be at the client's on site, and it's actually pretty difficult to find people that say, yes, I go every day to the client, or I do that online every day. That's fine for me. It's not, as I said, it's not the fancy, I'm doing machine learning and I fine-tune this cool data in the back end of the robot application. It's not fancy, but it's something that people actually now need.
100%. Oh, totally.
Unless you want to become a deep tech founder, then maybe you start thinking about this other idea, which is, of course, more risky and needs funding. And so.
No. And finally, if you could leave AI entrepreneurs with one mindset shift something that would genuinely change how they approach business in this era, what would it be?
Yeah. Look at the human side. Look at the technology is adopted. There's a lot of potential there rather than trying to provide another technology.
Yeah.
The roles that will change, everybody will do AI in the future.
Yeah.
It's normal already now. Everybody uses some tools and we will have new roles. We will have the agent controller, or we will have the ethical AI responsible person looking that the robots are behaving in an ethical way. So we will have many new roles that evolve, like during the internet phase, and try to figure out what comes next there.
Yeah.
So one example that I just had yesterday, the idea is there are so many people now with the problem of this addiction. I told you, you look at AI slop, you generate AI slop, and so on. There's so much potential to even support people not becoming addicted to an AI. There's so much coming in the future in spaces in niche that you see right now, and try to think about that.
Yeah, try to get ahead. Right, perfect. And Nina, so that's us finished. But before you go, can you let the listeners know where to find you, where they can connect with you and stuff like that?
Yes, for sure. So we are, we are hiring a lot of people. We are based in Zurich, in the Silicon Valley of AI of Europe.
Nice.
The major hub where also OpenAI and Anthropic and big robot companies are.
Yep.
And you can reach me best via LinkedIn or then on our website, dreamleap.com, and our academy, Voice Tech Hub.
Brilliant. And we'll be doing lots of promotion with this, so your name will be all around LinkedIn over the next few weeks anyway. Perfect. Really good, really good. And thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Really good. Thanks for listening to A Class Act. If you've enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow the show so you never miss a conversation. And if you're building a data team or making a key leadership hire, reach out to us at MBN Solutions using the link in the show notes.